Why is it that the most successful people in history were early risers? It's not because they loved the alarm clock. It's because they discovered a secret that the first hours of the day shape all the hours that follow. If you own the morning, you own the day. And if you own the day, you own the year. In this video, I want to show you how to turn the early hours of the day into the foundation of your success. You'll learn the simple system for making mornings productive, how to avoid wasting that time, and how to use it to build discipline that will change your year. If you've ever felt like you start the day already behind, this will give you the structure to finally take control. And the good news is, it doesn't take complicated routines. Just a few simple disciplines practiced each morning can set the tone for everything else. Now, I know what some people think. They say, I'm not a morning person. Or, I've tried getting up early before, but it didn't last. And I understand that. But the problem isn't the morning, it's the philosophy. If you wake up early and drift, you'll resent the morning. But if you wake up early and use that time with purpose, reading, planning, exercising, reflecting, you'll begin to love it. Because it becomes the quiet foundation where you can build without distraction. It's the time of day when the world is silent, but your mind is sharp. And if you can master those hours, you'll find that the rest of the day begins to follow your lead instead of controlling you. So here's what we're going to cover in the next 70 minutes. I'm going to walk you through a system for productive mornings. We'll talk about why the early hours matter, why discipline practiced before dawn creates momentum for the entire day. We'll look at how small daily habits compound into massive change, and how the law of sowing and reaping shows up in the way you use your mornings. We'll explore how to replace wasted time with meaningful actions, reading, journaling, exercise that build not only your day, but your year. Along the way, I'll share the stories of what I learned when I shifted my mornings, the lessons my mentor taught me, and the challenges that shaped me. And by the end, you'll not only see mornings differently, you'll see yourself differently. Because once you decide to take control of the morning, you begin to take control of your life. Now, here's something most people completely miss. They think mornings are just another part of the day, no different from any other hour. They roll out of bed late, already behind, already rushing, and they wonder why the rest of the day feels chaotic. But let me tell you how you begin. The day shapes how you live the day. The first few hours set the rhythm for everything else. And if you start the day in drift, you'll drift all day. If you start the day in discipline, you carry that momentum forward. The morning is the soil where seeds of discipline are planted, and the harvest shows up in the way the rest of your day unfolds. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how one small decision in the morning can ripple through everything else? Wake up late, skip breakfast, rush out the door, spill your coffee, forget something important, and suddenly the whole day feels like a scramble. But wake up early, take a quiet moment to read, to reflect, to move your body, and suddenly you walk into the day with clarity, with confidence, with energy. Same 24 hours, completely different result. And here's the lesson. It wasn't the day that was different. It was how you entered it. I remember when I used to sleep in. I thought I deserved it. I thought the morning didn't matter. But the truth was, I was always behind. I'd wake up late, rush through the day, and collapse at night, wondering why nothing seemed to change. Then I discovered something simple but powerful. The early hours carry a unique weight. They are quieter, calmer, sharper. And when I began to use them with intention, to read, to plan, to think, my whole life started to change. Because the morning gave me space to set the tone, instead of letting the day set it for me. Now here's why this matters so much. Discipline practiced early multiplies. If you choose discipline before dawn, it doesn't just affect those hours, it leaks into everything else. You feel stronger when you sit down to work. You feel clearer when you face problems. You feel calmer when interruptions come. Why? Because you already proved to yourself that you could direct your morning. And if you can direct your morning, you can direct your day. On the other hand, if you waste those early hours, the whole day feels like it owns you. And by nightfall, regret sets in. So let me paint you a picture. Imagine two people living in the same city. Both wake up at 5 a.m. One grabs the phone, scrolls through messages, drifts into the noise of other people's lives. The other sits quietly with a book, writes a few thoughts in a journal, moves the body, sets a plan. By 8 a.m., both have had the same 3 hours, but one has wasted them and one has multiplied them. And when you stretch that out, not for a day, but for a year, you see two completely different lives. That's the power of mornings. That's why they matter. And let me challenge you, don't think of the morning as just time on the clock. Think of it as the foundation of your day, because the foundation determines the strength of the whole building. If the foundation is weak, the whole structure wobbles. But if the foundation is strong, the structure stands tall. Each morning is your chance to lay down that foundation. And if you lay it right, the rest of the day rests on it. And once you catch that truth, once you begin to see how much power those early hours hold, then you'll start to notice something else. The hours before dawn carry a unique gift. They are quiet, undisturbed, unclaimed by the world. And if you can learn to guard those hours, to use them for growth instead of waste, they'll become the most valuable part of your day. And that's exactly what I want to show you next. Here's something that might surprise you. The hours before dawn carry a gift that most people never open. They sleep through it, they waste it, they overlook it, and yet it holds some of the richest soil for growth you'll ever find. Those early hours are the most undisturbed of your entire day. The phone isn't buzzing, the world isn't demanding, the noise hasn't started yet. It's quiet, it's still, it's yours. And the question is, what will you do with it? Because how you handle those hours will say a lot about how your year turns out. Think about it. Most of the world is still asleep. The streets are silent. The offices are dark. Even the distractions are dormant. It's in those hours that the mind is sharpest, that reflection is easiest, that learning sinks deeper. And if you learn to use that time with discipline, to read, to write, to think, to plan, you gain an advantage most people will never have. Because you've already invested in yourself before the world has even begun to pull at you. You've planted seeds in peace that will carry you through the storms of the day. I remember the first time I really caught this truth. I had been drifting, always waking late, always feeling behind. But when I began rising earlier, I noticed something remarkable. The world felt different in those quiet hours. It was as if I had space that others didn't. Space to catch my breath, space to think clearly, space to prepare. And I realized those hours weren't just empty time, they were sacred ground. They were the hours when I could shape myself before the world tried to shape me. And that changed everything. Now here's the danger. If you don't claim those hours, the world will. If you wake up and immediately check your phone, your mind is already filled with other people's priorities. If you flip on the television, the noise of the world already owns your attention. If you roll over and drift back to sleep, you've lost the very soil where discipline grows best. And the tragedy is, you don't notice the loss right away. One wasted morning feels harmless. But string them together, and you've wasted a year. Contrast that with someone who uses those hours with discipline. While the world is still sleeping, they're reading 10 pages of a good book, writing one new idea in their journal, moving their body to build strength. Small, quiet actions. No applause, no recognition. But day after day, those actions add up. By the time the rest of the world is waking, they've already set the tone, already planted the seeds, already built momentum, and that momentum carries through the day, through the week, through the year. It's like the farmer rising before the sun. He doesn't wait until noon to prepare his fields. He doesn't hope the crops will grow without his hand. He's out early, breaking the soil, planting the seeds, watering, protecting. And by the time the sun is high, his work is already in motion. Meanwhile, his neighbor sleeps in, drifts through the day, postpones the labor. And when harvest comes, one gathers abundance while the other gathers excuses. Same soil, same season, different discipline. And the difference was decided in the quiet hours. So let me challenge you, don't waste the gift. Claim it, guard it, use it. Set the alarm a little earlier. Don't roll over and hit snooze. Don't start with the noise of the world. Start with you. Start with your growth, your learning, your planning, your discipline. And if you do, you'll soon discover that those hours before dawn become the anchor of your success. They'll give you confidence others don't have, clarity others don't see, strength others don't feel. And that, my friend, can change your whole year. And once you've discovered the power of those quiet hours, once you've learned to use them instead of waste them, then you're ready for the next step. You're ready to build a system, a morning routine that feeds not just your day, but your life. And that's where we're headed next. Now, once you've learned to claim the morning hours, the question becomes, what do you do with them? Because it's not enough to just wake up early. You've got to use that time wisely. And here's one of the most powerful choices you can make. Use the morning for self-education. Fill those early hours with the voices of great minds, the lessons of great teachers, the ideas that stretch you, challenge you, and build you. Because formal education, as I've said before, will make you a living. But self-education will make you a fortune. Let me explain why this matters. School gives you the basics, but the marketplace demands more. A diploma might get you in the door, but it won't keep you there. What keeps you there, what makes you rise, what makes you indispensable, is the wisdom you add to yourself after school is done. And mornings are the best time for that. Because your mind is fresh, the world is quiet, and you can feed yourself ideas that strengthen your philosophy before the day even begins. I'll never forget when I discovered the library. I was 25 years old, broke, and embarrassed. I had a family to feed and promises I couldn't keep. And my mentor asked me one day, "Jim, how many books have you read in the last 90 days? I had to admit the truth, none. He said, "That's why you're broke. Your bank account is empty because your mind is empty." That stung, but it was the truth. And that day I went down to the library and signed up for a library card. That little card cost me nothing, but it opened the door to everything. Because from that day forward, I wasn't just waiting for life to teach me lessons. I was seeking them out in books. Now here's what I discovered. Books are mentors. They don't charge by the hour. They don't withhold their secrets. They don't quit on you. They sit patiently on the shelf, waiting for you to open them, ready to share the wisdom of centuries. And when you read in the quiet hours of the morning, it's like having a private meeting with the greatest minds who ever lived. They speak to you directly. They challenge you. They remind you that your problems aren't unique and that your potential is greater than you think. And I'll tell you what happened. I started to keep journals. I didn't just read. I captured ideas. I underlined sentences. I wrote notes in the margins. I took what I learned and made it mine. And over time, those journals became my treasure. More valuable than money, because they contained the lessons that built the money. And here's the challenge. Don't trust your memory. It's too short. Capture the ideas. Preserve them. Because one idea, written down and acted on, can change your whole year. So let me paint the picture for you. Two people wake up at the same time. One reaches for the phone, scrolls through news, messages, gossip. The other reaches for a book, reads 10 pages, writes one new thought in a journal. At the end of the day, they both had the same 24 hours. But one wasted the soil of the morning. The other planted seeds of wisdom. Now stretch that out over a year. One has read dozens of books, filled pages with insights, sharpened their philosophy. The other has nothing but fragments of other people's noise. And when the year ends, one has grown and one has drifted. That's the difference. And the good news is, you don't have to spend hours. Just 10 pages a day. Just 15 minutes. That's enough to start building a new foundation. Because the magic isn't in the volume, it's in the consistency. Read a little, capture a little, apply a little. Day after day, morning after morning, until your whole philosophy begins to shift. And when your philosophy shifts, your life shifts. So let me challenge you. Tomorrow morning, pick up a book instead of a phone. Read 10 pages. Write one sentence that struck you. And then see how the day feels different. Do it for a week, and you'll feel sharper. Do it for a month, and you'll notice momentum. Do it for a year, and you'll hardly recognize yourself. Because books plant seeds, and the morning is the richest soil for planting them. And once you've filled the morning with voices of wisdom, the next step is to fill it with your own voice, capturing your thoughts, reflecting on your lessons, designing your future. And that's exactly what I want to show you next. Now, once you've filled your mind with new ideas in the morning, the next discipline is to capture them before they escape. Because here's what I've learned, ideas are like birds. They fly in, they perch for a moment, and if you don't catch them, they're gone. You can't trust your memory. It's too short, too slippery. The only way to make an idea yours is to write it down. That's why I've always said, keep a journal. Make it a daily practice to reflect, to record, to preserve the lessons of your life. Because a life worth living is a life worth recording. Why does this matter so much? Because the mind forgets. You'll hear something today, and it'll stir you. It'll move you. It'll light a spark inside you. But tomorrow, it's gone. And you're left with nothing but a faint impression that something once mattered. But if you write it down, if you capture the exact words, the exact thought, then you've frozen it in time. And later, when you return to it, it speaks to you again, sometimes with even greater power than the first time. That's the magic of journaling. It makes the lessons permanent. I can tell you, my journals became some of my greatest treasures, more valuable to me than money in the bank, because they contained the very ideas that created the money in the bank. When I traveled, I carried them with me. When I moved, they were the first thing I packed. If my house were on fire and I could save one thing, it would be those journals. Why? Because they held years of my life, my thoughts, my lessons, my philosophies, my reflections. They were proof that I had not just lived, but that I had learned. And here's another reason journaling matters. It clarifies your thinking. Sometimes you don't even know what you believe until you try to write it. Writing forces you to slow down, to order your thoughts, to face them honestly. It takes vague impressions and turns them into clear sentences. And in that process, you learn about yourself. You begin to see patterns, to notice mistakes, to celebrate progress. You begin to catch yourself growing. And nothing builds confidence like seeing your own growth on paper. Let me give you a picture. Imagine two people reading the same book in the morning. One underlines nothing, takes no notes, closes the book, and walks away. The other pauses, reflects, writes down a sentence that struck them, adds a thought of their own, and then returns to those notes later. 10 years pass. The first man remembers almost nothing of the book, only that he once read it. The second man has pages filled with insights, lessons, reminders. He can return to them anytime, and every time he does, they sharpen him again. Same book, same time, but one captured the lessons while the other let them slip away. And here's the challenge. Don't just record what you learn. Record what you feel. Write down your victories, your disappointments, your goals, your dreams. Write down where you fell short and what you'll do differently tomorrow. Write down the little moments that matter, because those little moments add up to your life. And years from now, when you look back, you'll be able to trace the journey. You'll see how far you've come, not because you remember, but because you recorded it. So here's my advice. Make journaling part of your morning system. Don't wait for the day to get busy. Don't wait for the noise to start. Do it in the quiet hours, when your mind is fresh, when your heart is honest, when your spirit is open. Just a few lines each morning can make the difference. And if you keep at it, you'll build a treasury of wisdom that belongs to you alone. And once you've done that, once you've fed your mind with new ideas and captured them in writing, the next step is to train your body. Because discipline is not just for the mind, it must also live in the body. And that's what I want to show you next. Now, let me tell you something I learned along the way. Discipline doesn't stop with the mind. It must also live in the body. Because the body is the engine that carries you through life. And if the engine breaks down, the whole journey slows. You can read all the books, you can write in all the journals, you can fill your mind with all the wisdom in the world. But if your body is too weak, too tired, too neglected, then your potential is limited. That's why I say one of the most important parts of a productive morning is physical discipline. Moving your body, building strength, training yourself to take command of the flesh. Because the mind and the body are connected more than most people realize. Think about it. If you wake up early but spend the morning sluggish, heavy, dragging yourself through the hours, what kind of day will you have? But if you rise and move, even a little stretching, walking, lifting, exercising, you tell your body who's in charge. You remind yourself that discipline isn't just an idea, it's an action. And once you've practiced discipline in the body, it becomes easier to practice discipline in the mind. The two feed each other. Strength in one area spills over into the other. I'll never forget when I started to really value this. I had always been focused on ideas, on reading, on philosophy. But my mentor reminded me, Jim, you can't neglect the vessel. You only get one body, take care of it. And he was right. I began to see my health as part of my wealth. Because what good is success if you're too sick, too weak, too worn out to enjoy it? What good is wealth if you don't have the strength to use it? The discipline of the body is what allows you to carry the responsibilities of success without collapsing under the weight. And here's the beauty. You don't need to be an athlete. You don't need to spend hours in the gym. You just need to practice simple physical disciplines. Daily, consistently. Go for a walk. Do some stretches. Strengthen your core. Build your stamina little by little. It's not the intensity that changes you, it's the consistency. 10 minutes each morning, done faithfully, is better than 1 hour once in a while. Because it's not about showing off. It's about building the habit of control. It's about proving to yourself, before the day even begins, that you can tell your body what to do and it will obey. That lesson carries into every other part of your life. Let me give you a picture. Imagine two people rising at the same time. One sits slouched on the couch, sipping coffee, complaining about being tired. The other steps outside, breathes the morning air, moves the body, stretches, exercises. By 7 a.m., one has trained their body to obey, while the other has trained their body to drift. And when you stretch that pattern across months, across years, the difference is obvious. One grows strong and confident. The other grows weak and resentful. Same mornings, same hours, different disciplines, different destinies. So here's the challenge. Don't let your body become the weak link in your chain. Treat it with respect. Train it with discipline. Feed it with care. Because your body is the house you live in, and you can't trade it in for another. Guard it, strengthen it, use it, and start in the morning. Because if you can practice discipline with your body before the day even begins, then you've already won the first battle. And winning that first battle makes all the other battles easier. And once you've begun to build a morning system that feeds your mind and strengthens your body, then you're ready for the deeper truths, the laws of discipline that govern everything. Because just as the farmer plants in spring and harvests in fall, just as time compounds or wastes, so too your mornings carry laws you cannot break. And that's where I want to take you next. Now here's one of the most important truths you'll ever hear about success and failure. Success is not complicated. Failure is not mysterious. They are both simply the accumulation of choices made day after day. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, and failure is nothing more than a few small errors in judgment repeated every day. That's it. You don't fail in a day, and you don't succeed in a day. You fail by neglect, and you succeed by discipline. And the frightening part is at first they both feel the same. That's why most people miss it. Let me explain. You wake up early and read 10 pages of a book. Will your life transform tomorrow? No, probably not. It's invisible at first. But what if you wake up early and skip the reading, saying, it doesn't matter? Will your life collapse tomorrow? No, probably not. And that's where the danger lies. Because one discipline doesn't seem to matter, and one error doesn't seem to hurt. But repeat that choice every morning for a year, and suddenly you've built two completely different lives. One person has read dozens of books, captured hundreds of ideas, shifted their philosophy, sharpened their thinking. The other has drifted through 12 months with nothing to show. And the tragedy is, they both thought their choices didn't matter. I'll tell you what my mentor said to me. He said, Jim, failure is subtle. It's the little things that get you. Neglect is like an infection. It doesn't kill you right away, but left unchecked, it spreads until one day it takes you down. And he was right. Most people aren't destroyed by one big mistake. They're destroyed by a pattern of small neglects that compound over time. And the opposite is true as well. Most people aren't lifted by one big breakthrough. They're lifted by a pattern of small disciplines that compound over time. Think of it like a scale. Every morning you're placing weight on one side or the other, discipline or neglect. At first, the scale doesn't tip. It looks balanced. But day after day, the weight accumulates, and suddenly it tips hard. One day you wake up and realize you're miles ahead or miles behind. And it wasn't luck. It wasn't chance. It wasn't fate. It was the daily deposits you were making in one direction or the other. Let me give you a picture. Two people rise at 6 a.m. One reads 10 pages, writes a note in a journal, does a few stretches. The other scrolls through the phone, hits snooze, drifts back to sleep. One small set of choices. No big deal. One has a mind full of wisdom, shelves full of journals, a body strengthened by discipline, a life shaped by intention. The other has a mind cluttered with noise, no record of growth, a body weakened by neglect, and a life shaped by drift. Same mornings, same hours, but different results, because one practiced small disciplines and the other allowed small errors. So here's the challenge. Don't underestimate the small. Don't fall into the trap of saying it doesn't matter, because it all matters. Every choice, every morning, every routine is either moving you closer to success or pulling you toward failure. And you may not see the difference tomorrow, but you will see it in time, because time always tells the truth. And here's the good news. You can start a new direction anytime. Maybe you've neglected. Maybe you've drifted. Maybe you've let too many mornings slip away. But you can start today with one small discipline. Read the 10 pages. Write the one note. Do the one push-up. Save the $1. Don't despise small beginnings, because small beginnings lead to big endings. And one day, you'll look back and realize that everything changed when you decided to trade small errors for small disciplines. And once you've grasped this, once you've seen how much your future is hidden in your daily choices, then you're ready to understand one of the greatest laws of life, the law of sowing and reaping. Because each morning is planting season, and what you sow in those hours will determine the harvest of your day, your year, your life. And that's exactly what I want to share with you next. Now, here's a law that governs everything: your health, your wealth, your relationships, your mornings, your whole life. It's the law of sowing and reaping. And once you understand it, you'll never look at your days the same again. The law is simple, but it's relentless. You reap what you sow. You reap more than you sow, and you reap later than you sow. 3 truths that explain why some lives rise and others fall. Why some people harvest abundance while others gather regret. Let's take the first one: you reap what you sow. That means if you plant corn, you don't get wheat. If you plant laziness, you don't get success. If you plant neglect, you don't get discipline. Life doesn't work that way. The harvest always matches the seed. And that's why your mornings matter so much, because every choice in those early hours is a seed. When you read a book, that's a seed of wisdom. When you write a reflection, that's a seed of clarity. When you exercise, that's a seed of strength. But when you roll over, when you scroll your phone, when you waste those hours, that's a seed of drift. And the soil always returns what you plant. Now, the second truth: you reap more than you sow. And this is both the danger and the opportunity. One seed of corn doesn't produce one kernel. It produces a stalk with ears, with hundreds of kernels. The return is always multiplied. And life works the same way. One good habit, practiced daily, multiplies into years of strength. One idea, captured and applied, multiplies into opportunities you could never predict. One early morning of discipline becomes a week of momentum, then a month, then a year of progress. But it works the other way too. One neglected morning becomes a pattern of neglect. One excuse becomes a habit of excuses. And soon, the weeds take over the whole field. That's the law. It multiplies whatever you put into it, good or bad. And here's the third truth: you reap later than you sow. And this is where most people fail, because we live in a world that wants everything instantly. We want the harvest today. We want the reward before we've put in the discipline. But it doesn't work that way. The farmer doesn't plant in spring and reap in summer. He waits until autumn. There's always a delay between planting and harvest. And that's why discipline feels hard at first. You wake up early and nothing changes that day. You read 10 pages and you're not wiser by nightfall. You exercise and you don't look different in the mirror tomorrow. But if you stay with it, if you guard the seed, if you keep sowing, one day the harvest comes. And when it does, it's always more than you planted. I remember realizing this in my own life. For years, I sowed neglect. I sowed drift. I sowed excuses. And when the harvest came, I didn't like it. I was broke, embarrassed, behind on my promises. That was the crop I had grown. And it was nobody's fault but mine. But here's the good news. Once I learned the law, I realized I could change my harvest by changing my seed. I couldn't go back and change the old seasons, but I could start sowing discipline today. And that meant that sooner or later, I'd reap a different crop. So let me challenge you. Look at your mornings as planting season. Every day, before the sun rises, you have a field waiting, and you get to decide what to sow. Will it be seeds of neglect or seeds of discipline? Seeds of distraction or seeds of wisdom? Seeds of drift or seeds of purpose? The harvest will tell the truth. Not tomorrow, not next week, but in time. And when that harvest comes, you'll either be glad you planted or wish you had. And here's the greatest part. You can start a new season anytime. Maybe you've wasted mornings. Maybe you've sown weeds. Maybe you've neglected too long. But you can start tomorrow with one new seed. Read 10 pages. Write one thought. Move your body. Do it again the next day, and again the day after. And in time, you'll have a field full of abundance instead of regret. That's the promise of the law. It's fair. It multiplies for anyone who practices it. And once you've caught this idea, once you see that every morning is planting season, then you'll begin to treasure those hours like never before. You'll see that time itself is the most valuable soil you have, because money you can replace, but time you can't. And that's the truth I want to share with you next. Now, here's a truth I want you to carry with you for the rest of your life. Money is valuable, of course, but money is replaceable. You can lose it and earn it again. You can spend it and make more. You can waste it and then, with effort, recover it. But time is different. Once time is gone, it's gone forever. You can't buy it back. You can't borrow it. You can't store it up. You can only use it while it's here. And that's why I say time is more valuable than money. And the greatest proof of that truth is the morning. Because the morning hours are the most precious, the most fertile, the most irreplaceable. Once you waste them, they're gone, and nothing can bring them back. Think about this: if you waste $1, you can earn another tomorrow. But if you waste an hour, there is no refund. That hour has vanished. And the tragedy is, most people treat their money with more respect than their time. They guard their wallet, but they squander their hours. They get upset if someone cheats them out of $10, but they let distractions steal 10 years. Isn't that something? And yet the secret to wealth, to growth, to freedom is learning to treat your time as the most valuable asset you have. Now, let me tell you what my mentor said to me. He said, "Jim, don't just get through the day, get from the day." And I didn't understand at first. I thought surviving the day was enough. But he explained anyone can get through the day. That's just drifting. The question is, did you get from the day? Did you extract the lessons, the ideas, the value? Did you use your time in a way that multiplies? Because if you get from the day, you grow. If you only get through it, you stay the same. And staying the same is the slow death of potential. That's why mornings matter so much. They are the time when your attention is sharpest, when the distractions are quiet, when your energy is fresh. They are the hours of greatest return. If you invest them wisely, reading, reflecting, planning, exercising, they'll give you back results all day long. But if you waste them scrolling, drifting, oversleeping, they'll cost you more than you realize. Because the day follows the morning, and the year follows the days. That's how valuable those hours are. Let me give you an image. Imagine you were given a bank account that deposited 440 every single day. But at the end of the day, whatever you hadn't used vanished. No rollover, no saving, no carrying forward. How carefully would you spend that money? How intentional would you be with each dollar? Well, life gives you exactly that, not in dollars, but in minutes. Every day you're given 440 minutes. And at midnight, they're gone. The question is, did you waste them or did you invest them? Did you get through them or did you get from them? And here's the truth. If you don't place a high value on your time, the world won't either. People will steal it, distractions will drain it, and you'll wake up one day wondering where it all went. But if you guard it, if you protect it, if you use it with discipline, you'll look back with gratitude instead of regret. So here's my challenge. Treat your mornings like treasure. Guard them as if they were gold, because they're worth more than gold. Gold can be replaced, but mornings cannot. Don't give them away cheaply. Don't waste them on noise. Don't drift through them thoughtlessly. Use them with purpose. Invest them in growth. And when you do, you'll begin to see that time, managed with discipline, creates a life of abundance. And once you understand that time is your greatest asset, more valuable than money, then you'll see why you must protect it fiercely. Because distractions are thieves. Comfort is a thief. Excuses are thieves. And if you let them, they'll rob you of your mornings, and with them, your year. And that's exactly what we need to talk about next. Now let's talk about one of the greatest enemies of discipline, one of the silent thieves of success: distraction. If time is the most valuable resource you have, then distraction is the pickpocket that steals it when you're not paying attention. And the most dangerous part of distraction is that it doesn't feel like theft. It feels harmless. It feels small. You say, "I'll just check my phone for a minute." You say, "I'll just turn on the television for a moment." You say, "I'll just relax a little before I get started." And before you know it, the minutes have turned into hours, the hours into days, the days into years. And the harvest you could have had is gone, choked out by weeds you let grow. Think about it. Every farmer knows that if you don't guard your field, weeds will take it. And weeds don't need permission. They don't need planting. They grow all by themselves, and they grow fast. If you don't fight them, they'll overrun the field and steal the nutrients that should have gone to the crop. And that's exactly how distraction works. You don't have to invite it. You don't have to plan it. If you leave your morning unguarded, distraction will rush in. And once it takes root, it will strangle your discipline. Now, the tragedy is that most people think comfort is harmless. They think 5 more minutes in bed won't matter. 10 more minutes of scrolling won't matter. 1 more episode won't matter. But let me tell you, it does matter. Because distraction is cumulative. Just like discipline compounds into abundance, distraction compounds into regret. And you don't notice it at first. 1 morning wasted feels harmless. But string enough of them together, and you've built a year of drift. And drift never leads to greatness. I remember when I was young, I wasted too many mornings. I let myself be pulled into trivial things, thinking they didn't matter. But when I look back, I realized I had sown nothing of value in those hours. And when the harvest came, I didn't like what I saw. That was when I learned you must guard your mornings like a treasure chest. You must protect them with rules, with discipline, with intention, because if you don't, distraction will rob you blind. So how do you guard against distraction? You decide ahead of time. You don't wait until the morning to see how you feel. You set the rule the night before. You say, when I wake up, I will not touch the phone until I've done my reading. I will not turn on the television until I've written in my journal. I will not let the noise of the world in until I've built myself in silence. You build a fence around those hours and you defend it because no one else will do it for you. And here's the truth. Comfort in the morning always becomes regret at night. The snooze button feels good at 6 a.m., but it feels terrible at 10 p.m. When you realize the day got away from you, scrolling feels easy in the moment, but it feels heavy later when you've wasted the best hours of the day. That's why you must choose discipline over distraction. Because discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. So let me challenge you. Look honestly at what steals your mornings. Is it the phone, the television, the pillow? Write it down, call it out, and then decide what you'll do instead. Replace distraction with discipline. Replace weeds with seeds. Because if you let distraction own your mornings, it will own your year. But if you protect your mornings, you protect your future. And once you've learned to guard your mornings against distraction, the next step is just as important. Choosing the right influences, the right people, the right associations. Because even if you protect your time, the wrong company can still poison your soil. And that's exactly where we're going next. Now, let me tell you something that will shape your mornings, your habits, your whole destiny. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And whether you realize it or not, their voices become your voice. Their habits become your habits. Their philosophy becomes your philosophy. And this isn't just about the big choices in life. It shows up in the mornings, too. If the people you surround yourself with laugh at discipline, pretty soon you'll be laughing at it. If they sleep late, drift, waste time, then you'll start to think that's normal. But if you spend your time with people who rise early, who read, who grow, who build, then that begins to rub off on you too. And without even noticing it, your mornings start to look like theirs. That's the power of associations. Why does this matter so much? Because even if you guard your time, even if you have the best intentions, the wrong company can poison your soil. Think of a tree planted in poor soil, and it struggles. It doesn't matter how much potential is inside the seed. It can't flourish in the wrong environment. But plant that same tree in rich soil, surrounded by nutrients, and it grows strong. It grows tall. It bears fruit. Nothing changed about the tree itself. It was the soil that made the difference. And that's how it works with you. Your associations are your soil. If you plant yourself in poor soil, you'll struggle. If you plant yourself in rich soil, you'll thrive. Now, here's what I discovered in my own life. When I was young, I was around the wrong crowd. Good people, sincere people, but they weren't going anywhere. They didn't challenge me. They didn't inspire me. They didn't push me to grow. And as a result, I drifted along with them. It wasn't until I found a mentor, someone whose life represented where I wanted to go, that everything changed. Suddenly, my thinking was challenged. Suddenly, my excuses didn't hold up. Suddenly, I saw what was possible. And that shift in association changed the course of my life. Here's the danger if you spend your mornings around the wrong influence. They'll steal them without you noticing. They'll convince you discipline is unnecessary. They'll make you feel silly for reading, for journaling, for exercising. They'll tell you to relax, to sleep in, to take it easy. And if you listen long enough, you'll believe them. But listen to the right influence, and they'll encourage you. They'll remind you why discipline matters. They'll lift your standards higher. The difference is life-changing. So here's the challenge. Take inventory of your associations. Ask yourself, who are the 5 people I spend the most time with? Do they inspire me or do they drain me? Do they build me up or do they pull me down? Do they make my mornings stronger or do they weaken them? And be honest, because your future depends on it. If the answer isn't good, then you have to make a change. It might mean spending less time with some people. It might mean seeking out new voices, new mentors, new influences. It might mean spending your mornings not with people at all, but with books, with journals, with the voices of wisdom from the past. Because the truth is, if you don't have good company in person, you can still find it in print. And here's the good news. You don't need dozens of people to change your life. Just 1 or 2 strong influences can shift your direction. One good mentor can do more for you than a lifetime of drifting friends. One good book can shake you awake more than years of empty conversations. One disciplined voice in your life can be the difference between wasting your mornings and building a future with them. So guard your associations as carefully as you guard your time, because the people you walk with will determine where you arrive. If you want to own your mornings, if you want to build discipline, if you want to change your year, then surround yourself with people who live that way. Choose your soil wisely, plant yourself in the right environment, and then watch yourself grow. And once you've chosen your influences wisely, once you've guarded your mornings from both distraction and poor company, then you'll see the bigger picture that your mornings aren't just about the day, they're about the life you're designing. And that's the truth I want to share with you next. Now, here's something you must never forget. Your life doesn't change in a year, it changes in a day. And it doesn't change in the big dramatic moments, it changes in the small, quiet disciplines you practice each morning. Because a day is just a collection of hours, a week is just a collection of days, a year is just a collection of weeks. And if you win the morning, you win the day. If you win enough days, you win the year. And if you win enough years, you win your life. That's why I say mornings matter far more than most people ever realize. They are the seedbed, not just of the day, but of the entire harvest of your life. Think about it. How does a wall get built? Brick by brick. How does a book get written? Page by page. How does a fortune get built? Dollar by dollar. And how does a life get transformed? Morning by morning. Each one may not look like much on its own, but put them together and you have something extraordinary. That's the magic of discipline. It compounds. One disciplined morning leads to one disciplined day. One disciplined day leads to one disciplined week. One disciplined week leads to a month of momentum. And before long, you've built a year of progress. And that year becomes the turning point of your life. Now, here's the tragedy. Most people underestimate the small. They think if change doesn't happen overnight, it's not worth it. They try a new habit for a week, don't see results, and quit. They forget that transformation is invisible at first. The seed planted in spring doesn't look like much, but underground, growth is happening. And if you wait, if you keep watering, if you keep protecting, one day the harvest shows. It's the same with mornings. You may not see the difference after 1 week of reading 10 pages, 1 week of journaling, 1 week of exercise, but keep going. And one morning you'll wake up and realize you are not the same person anymore. You think differently, you feel differently, you act differently. And that difference came from mornings you thought were ordinary, but were actually extraordinary. I remember when I started to practice this myself. It didn't look like much at first. 10 pages in the morning, 1 entry in a journal, a short walk to move my body. But when I look back after a year, the difference was remarkable. I had read more books than in the 10 years before. I had pages of notes filled with ideas, lessons, and reflections. I had built strength and confidence I never had before. And all of it came not from some massive breakthrough, but from the compounding of small, simple disciplines practiced in the quiet hours before the world woke up. That's when I truly understood that mornings have the power to change your year, and years have the power to change your life. So let me challenge you, don't despise the small beginnings. Don't say, it's only 10 pages. It's only a few minutes of exercise. It's only 1 note in a journal. Instead, remember that every great achievement is built on the foundation of small disciplines. 1 morning won't transform your life, but 1,000 mornings will. And whether those mornings are filled with discipline or neglect is up to you. And here's the good news. You don't have to wait for a new year, a new season, or a new chance. You can start tomorrow. 1 morning of discipline can be the first brick in the wall of your transformation. And if you lay 1 brick each day, 1 morning at a time, You'll be astonished at the life you've built when you look back a year from now. And once you catch this vision, once you realize mornings aren't just about starting the day, but about designing your future, then you'll see the final truth: your mornings must connect to your philosophy. They must serve your larger purpose. Because without philosophy, routines become empty. And that's the last lesson I want to leave with you. Now, here's the final piece of this puzzle. It's not enough to simply rise early, read, write, move your body, and call it done. Those things are powerful, yes, but they must connect to something larger. Because discipline without philosophy can become empty, like going through the motions without meaning. And that's why I say you must design a morning philosophy. A philosophy is the compass of your life, the set of the sail that determines your direction. And if your mornings aren't tied to your philosophy, then you may be busy, but not purposeful. You may be active, but not advancing. The power of the morning is not just in what you do, but in why you do it. Think of it this way. The farmer doesn't rise before dawn just to rise. He rises because his crops depend on it. The athlete doesn't train early just to suffer. He trains because his goals demand it. The builder doesn't lay bricks at sunrise just to pass the time. He lays them because he has a vision of the house he wants to complete. And so it must be with you. Your mornings should be tied to the life you want to design. If your philosophy is growth, then your mornings must include learning. If your philosophy is contribution, then your mornings must prepare you to give. If your philosophy is freedom, then your mornings must build the discipline that creates independence. Without philosophy, a routine becomes just another habit. With philosophy, it becomes a powerful tool for transformation. I remember when I first caught this truth. I was practicing the disciplines reading, writing, planning, but something felt incomplete. I was going through the motions, but I hadn't tied them to my larger purpose. Then one evening, my mentor asked me a simple question. Jim, what do you want your life to look like? Not just your day, not just your job, but your life. And I didn't have a clear answer. That shook me. Because I realized if I didn't know where I was going, then no amount of early mornings would get me there. From that day on, I began to connect my routines to my philosophy. I wanted to grow, so I read. I wanted to remember, so I wrote. I wanted to stay strong, so I moved my body. Suddenly, the disciplines had meaning because they were tied to the larger vision of my life. Here's the danger: if you don't design your philosophy, the world will design it for you. And their design won't be about your growth, your freedom, your legacy. It will be about your distraction, your consumption, your conformity. That's why you must be intentional. You must decide for yourself, who do I want to become? What kind of life do I want to live? What values will I build on? Once you've answered those questions, your mornings become clear, because every discipline will flow out of that foundation. So let me challenge you, don't just wake up early for the sake of waking up early. Don't just follow a routine because someone told you it works. Build a morning philosophy that belongs to you. Write it down. Say, these are the things I will do each morning, because this is the kind of person I am becoming. This is the kind of life I am designing. And then guard that philosophy fiercely. Because once you tie your mornings to your purpose, you'll never again see them as empty hours. You'll see them as sacred ground, where your future is being built one discipline at a time. And once you've done that, once you've tied your mornings to your philosophy, then you'll see the bigger picture. The early hours are not just about starting your day. They are about shaping your destiny. And that's where I want to leave you as we close. So here we are, at the end of our time together. We've walked through the mornings, we've looked at the disciplines, we've studied the laws, and now the question is, what will you do with it? Because information is powerful, but only when it is acted upon. Inspiration feels good in the moment, but it fades if it is not turned into action. What matters is not what you've heard, but what you'll do when the alarm clock rings tomorrow morning. Will you rise and claim the gift of the quiet hours, or will you roll over and let them slip away? That's the real test. Let's remind ourselves of the journey we've taken. We began with the idea that the morning shapes the day. If you start in drift, you'll drift all day. If you start in discipline, you'll carry that momentum forward. Then we saw that the early hours hold a unique gift, the gift of quiet. The world is still asleep. The noise hasn't started. And in those hours, you can grow without distraction. From there, we built a system: reading to feed the mind, journaling to capture the lessons, and physical discipline to strengthen the body. We looked at the laws that govern mornings, the law of small errors versus small disciplines, the law of sowing and reaping, the truth that time is more valuable than money. We saw the enemies of the morning distraction that steals, poor associations that weaken. And finally, we came to the truth that mornings must tie to philosophy, that if you want your routines to matter, they must serve your larger purpose, your greater vision, your life design. And what does it all mean? It means that mornings are not just hours on a clock. They are seeds in the soil of your life. And the harvest of your year, the harvest of your future, will be determined by what you plant in those hours. If you plant neglect, you'll reap regret. If you plant discipline, you'll reap abundance. And the soil doesn't care who you are, it will return to you exactly what you sow. That's the law, and it's fair. Now here's the choice before you. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. The price of getting up a little earlier, of reading a few pages, of writing a few lines, of moving your body, it's small. It weighs ounces. But the price of drifting, the price of wasted mornings, the price of excuses that's heavy, that weighs tons. And you don't feel it all at once. You feel it later, when the harvest comes. And by then it's too late to change it. That's why the choice must be made now, today, while the soil is fresh and the season is open. So let me give you a challenge. Start tomorrow. Not next week, not next month, not when it's convenient. Start tomorrow. Rise before the sun. Read 10 pages of a good book. Write one line in your journal. Move your body for 10 minutes. Just those simple disciplines. And then repeat them the next day and the next. And soon you'll notice something. You'll feel sharper, stronger, more confident. And if you keep at it, day after day, morning after morning, you'll look back at the end of the year and realize you've become a completely different person. Because it wasn't the year that changed, it was the mornings. And here's the affirmation I want you to remember. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge. Wish for more wisdom. Because if you become more, you'll attract more. If you grow, everything around you grows. If you build discipline into your mornings, you'll build discipline into your life. So let this be the turning point. Let this be the year you stop drifting through mornings and start owning them. Because when you own the morning, you own the day. When you own the day, you own the year. And when you own the year, you own your life. And if you're ready for the next step, if you want to know the daily habits that will multiply the impact of your mornings and turn them into unstoppable momentum, then click on the next video. Because mornings plant the seeds, but habits are the soil that grows them. And once you master both, there's no limit to the harvest you can reap.